Okay, thank you, Fred. And hello, everyone. Good evening. And thank you to the Upper Charles Climate Action Group for hosting this presentation this evening and doing a fantastic job spreading the word on this essential topic, especially Fred Cunningham, our MC, and our host tonight, Joan Levinson, who's also our IT guru, who probably has never been described that way in the past, but she put together both the Zoom stuff, very complicated, and all the Eventbrite stuff as well. So thank you to them. Now, as Fred said, I'm going to be speaking mostly about our own experience in cutting our carbon footprint to zero on our house and making a 15% return on our investment by doing so. That is right, you heard me correctly. You now get paid to cut your carbon footprint. 10 years ago, it would cost you a lot of money to cut your carbon footprint. Now you make money. This is disruptive, to use the language of business. I think it's an inflection point. We're entering a new era, and this is the point of no return. So welcome to the future, everyone. It's a zero carbon future. So this is what happened on our house. Our carbon footprint was about 30 to 35 tons of carbon dioxide every year. That's an enormous amount of carbon dioxide. At the end of 2016, we installed solar panels on our roof and heat pumps to replace our air conditioning units and to replace most of the function of our heating furnace as well. That cut our carbon footprint about 20 tons, about 2/3 for the year of 2017. And then at the end of 2017, we installed insulation. I installed insulation in the ceiling of our basement, and we paid someone, a contractor, it wasn't me, to install triple glazed windows to replace our ancient and falling apart double glazed windows from the 1970s. That cut our carbon footprint another 50%, another 5 tons, making it 5 tons. Now, when I set out to do this, I did not set out believing I could get to zero. I just wanted to cut our carbon footprint. Cutting it to zero was a surprise. When we got to 5 tons in 2018, I thought, well, hey, maybe if we push this a little further, we can actually get to zero, and wouldn't that be cool? And so we did. In the summer of 2018, we installed an extra solar panel array on the roof of our garage. So we now have two, one on the roof of our house, one on the roof of our garage, and that cut our carbon footprint for 2019 to zero, and in fact, very slightly negative. So we had 35 tons per year gone. That is equivalent to taking 10 gasoline-powered cars off the road. One house, 10 cars off the road. This is huge. Now, that was a surprise getting to zero. What was even more of a surprise was I'm saving $11,000 a year on heating and electricity bills. This is our total heating and electricity bill for the same years, about $11,500 in the early years, cut in 2017, and then again in 2018, just following the carbon footprint, and very slightly negative in 2019. This is big. We've cut 35 tons of carbon dioxide every year. That's 35 tons each year, every year, and it's forever. And we've cut $11,000. So I have $11,000 more in my back pocket each year, every year, and forever. This is big. So a bit about me. Fred mentioned I have a degree in physics from Oxford University. I'm a Brit, if you can't already tell by my accent. I came here to go to business school 30 years ago now, and met this girl, fell in love, and she's now my wife and mother of my 3 children. And during my career, I founded 2 biotech companies. I took both public. And I say this only to point out I have the physics understanding, so I can understand things like heat pump operation in low temperatures and the low E coatings on triple glazed windows. But also I have the finance experience, so I can understand these things from a financial point of view, from an investment and a return point of view, because I've been doing that in my business career for 20 years. I was in a very nasty road accident in the summer of 2014. It nearly killed me. And while I was at home recovering from that accident, I did the research on getting to a zero carbon footprint. And we were successful in doing so, despite the fact there was no guidebook. This was something I was surprised at. I thought there'd be a just guidebook out there somewhere on the web. Someone would have written and said, hey, this is what you do. Do A, B, C, D, and you've got it done. There was none. And in fact, what I found was a lot of the advice was either highly conflicted because it was given by a vendor of some technology, or there were things that seemed to make energy sense, but didn't make any financial sense. And that MBA in me said, hey, I've got to figure this out. I've got to analyze this and find out which things actually make a good investment, because I'm not spending our family's money on things that were a waste of money. So I did, and now our house and our pool both have zero carbon footprints. I'm saving $11,000 a year on the house and $3,000 a year on the pool. I wrote one book about each one, which is the recipe book, is the guidebook I was looking for. to get you to zero and save money on both those things. I do not work for or get paid by any supplier of equipment. I'm completely independent. I have no financial conflict of interest other than selling the books, which is 25 bucks for the paperback, 15 bucks for the ebook, and everyone will be getting that for free at the end of this talk. After I published the books, which are intended to be self-sufficient and freestanding, some of the homeowners called me and started saying, "Hey, David, this is great, but I don't have the time to do this myself," or I really don't like talking to contractors about this stuff. I've had a bad experience in the past. Can you just help me? So I did. All this advice I'm giving is based off my experience, but neither me nor the company is giving investment, tax, legal, or financial advice, and neither are we providing any guarantee of results. Now, I'm not going to tell you this evening that you need to eat vegetarian, or turn down your thermostat, wear a cardigan like Jimmy Carter did, bike to work, or have fewer children, or vote for Al Gore. In fact, I don't really care who you vote for. I don't care whether you think that climate change is a Chinese hoax or it's an existential threat to humanity. I'm just going to talk about what you can do to save money by cutting your carbon footprint. I think we can all agree on saving money. Excuse me. In fact, I'm not going to tell you to do anything. I'm just going to show you what we have done. And it may be coincidence or perhaps destiny. Our family name really is Green. I got it from my father. I'm not making that up, just like I'm not making up anything else in this presentation. My work has been quite widely publicized these days. So how did we gather this data? Our house is a two-story wood construction, typical New England construction, 5,400 square feet, so a bit bigger than average. Built in 1974, has 4-inch 2x4 walls with fiberglass in the cavities. And before we went zero, it had no energy efficiency features whatsoever. Really a pretty energy inefficient house. And we live in Dover, Massachusetts with 5,800 heating degree days, which is a measure of how cold it gets here. That's about average for New England and pretty much everywhere through to the Midwest. Each day for the last 2 years, I've measured the heating oil and the electricity used by our home. Yes, I'm that kind of super geek. I actually enjoy doing this kind of stuff. And I use that data, or I should say the physicist in me, use that data to build an energy model of how the energy flows into our house and flows out of our house. And that model has an 80% R squared, which is a statistical measure of how good a model is. It varies from 0% to 100%. And so 80% is very, very good as an R squared for the model. That's for the daily prediction of my energy use. For the full year, it predicts the energy bills with about 10% accuracy. So I used that energy model, now the MBA and me took over, and built a financial model alongside it. So now I could calculate the investment and return on various things I was doing, such as improving the insulation or changing the windows. And I measured the energy change from each one of the Fab 4 that we installed. The Fab 4 is the heat pumps, insulation, triple glazed windows, and solar panels. And we've used a very similar method for both our rental property, which we have in Dover as well, and for consulting clients. So with this approach, I could tell which changes made energy sense and which ones made financial sense. And I found that many things that are quite popular in the green building community, things like geothermal and solar hot water panels, they made energy sense, but they made no financial sense. And I actually found there's only 4 things that made both energy sense and financial sense. And that was heat pumps, insulation, triple glazed windows, and solar panels. I'll address each one of those in turn. So you may be asking yourself, why are we having this conversation now? This is something that environmentalists have been talking about for decades now. Why is it possible to go zero now and make money when it has not been possible in the past? And I think it's very simple. The technologies have all got much better. Insulation, heat pumps, solar panels, and triple glazed windows are all dramatically better now than they were even 10 years ago. And the subsidies from government and utilities are very significant. And so you can, if by following these examples, cut your carbon emissions to zero, save thousands of dollars a year on heating and electric bills, and make a good return on your investment. We have done it. So how did we cut our carbon footprint to zero? We installed the Fab 4, heat pumps, insulation, triple glazed windows, and solar panels. It's easy to remember this because the real Fab 4, the Beatles, yes, I'm a Brit, I know it shows, had lots of hits: heat pumps, insulation, triple glazed windows, and solar panels. So how did we go zero and make money? Well, we installed the Fab 4 and we got all the tax breaks and subsidies.